Awesome. All right. So it's the MLO Network Survivor Series on today with my good friend Steve Brand in the Minnesota market. You betcha. So good to have you, buddy. Today
Hey,
we're going to focus on how you can be, let's just say, a single or a double hitter. We'll use the baseball analogy. I know your sons really love their baseball. And still, have a great career, have some killer years here and there, get some balance in your life, the kind of things I've watched you do. I think a lot of people will be envious to have some of the production years that you've had. So
I've been blessed. I started in the business in May of 2001. So 21 years now, 22 years, whatever the heck it is. I'm forgetting as I get older. So I've seen the ups, I've seen the downs, I've seen the mortgage, meltdown, all that jazz. One of the things that we were talking about that Fish wanted me to talk about, what is one of the things that I view as one of my strengths. One of those is the big situation that I hate being wrong. And we all make mistakes. And it's the most painful thing in the world when you get to the 11th hour on a transaction and you forgot something. And, I try to learn from others' mistakes and learn from processes from teammates, from other loan officers I know, of what are the problems and then how did you figure those out? Then it's to the next step of what are you going to do to make sure that those aren't done. The big thing that I've really made a focus of my business is taking really obnoxiously good loan applications. And that's one thing that we're talking about, is diving deep into lots of different questions about people's income, job history, employment dates, getting everything right so that when my processors, get my file, or underwriters or closers, they know that I know how to put a file together from, a high level. I want to think like an underwriter. I want to have that ability. And part of it was years ago, learning to use Control F. If you know what I'm talking about, it's pulling up the VA 26-7. It's pulling up Fannie guidelines, Freddie, the old 4007 for FHA, to be able to look up guidelines and use keywords to look stuff up and then push those to an underwriter. So if there's a question that I have, I'm going to look up the guideline that I think it is, if it's a kind of misunderstood, and shoot that over to an underwriter and ask them, this is how I interpret this. Am I on the right page? But that's just digging deep into loan apps. That's the main thing that I really want to do.
What is the end result of having that kind of geeked out OCD mentality about putting together a perfect file and having all the notes? I mean, there's some benefits to that newer LOs can pick up as well, when it comes to building your business and marketing yourself. I mean,
the outcome is, of course, knowing that you've got good files, and then having the people along the line know that there's a consistency, that when I get a file from Steve, it's going to be tight. It's going to be put together. Part of how I was thrust into that was when I first started in the business. One of the people who hired me said, you don't know shit about this industry until you do 100 loans from front to back. So when I started, I took the applications, I processed the files, put the whole files together, ordered title, appraisal, everything at the time we could do that, and went to closings. And truly, after 100 transactions of really understanding all the different parts of the loan file, you see where the problems can be. Then you're doing purchase transactions, refis, paying off of contract for deeds, second homes, investment properties, all those different things. So it's getting involved in the different levels of the transaction is the other part of it.
So that's what we find in this world today. We got some of these newer LOs or LOs that have been doing it for a while that are struggling, and they're kind of looking back at what they've done the last few years and trying to figure out, where they might have missed opportunities or how they can grow. And, as you told me before we really hit record here, you're still consistent with a lot of the same referral partners and a lot of the same clients that you've done transactions with and you've worked with in the past. I mean, how do you take that clean file approach and turn that into more loans moving forward so that you've always got new business coming in, right?
Yeah, well, that's the whole idea is once you set that stage and you set that stage with a buyer's agent and a client, they know that they have a good transaction. It's asking them during the process, and my whole goal is to give you a 5-star service during this transaction when I'm working with a client, and it's taking their temperature a couple different times and asking for referrals during the process. But telling them, my whole goal is to give you a 5-star service, keep this as clean as possible. The other thing I learned is there was you learn from your mistakes. And I've had a couple different people who were annoyed by how deep my interview process was when I was taking loan applications, and they went somewhere else. And what I learned is part of my process when I start is, listen, I've been doing this a long time. I ask a lot of questions. My goal is to help you understand this process, have all of your questions answered. So sometimes I talk a lot and maybe I start to repeat myself. And if you're the person who just wants to know what's my payment going to be, how much cash to bring to close, I want to give you permission to tell me to shut up. But what I want to do is to be able to really help you really understand this process and really understand a lot of the situation. And again, I set the stage as well that, I tell people that up front, this is going to be painful. The most painful part of getting a mortgage is all the paperwork stuff. And then
So you kind of take the role of, hey, I'm your friend, I'm your consultant, I'm your advisor, but instead of being more, salesy and pushy and like, hey, what do we need to do to move forward? Sign here. Let's talk about rates, slide the pen over the desk, that kind of crazy car sales stuff. So, this stuff about making relationships is great and fantastic, but I think some of the newer LOs still struggle to see how that turns into business right away. It's definitely over time. Absolutely. Those things pay off, but those kind of things can pay off in the short term as well, right? Like immediately you can take a new agent partner that you're doing business with, or a client that you're currently doing business with, and flex your muscles a little bit, right?
That's one of the things I was saying was that how important it is to be asking for referrals during the transaction. It's having a good application up front, letting having good communication with your agents up front, your buyer's agents. And then during the process, also asking, saying, hey, has the transaction been going smoothly so far to a real estate agent? Yes. Okay. And if you've got an email system or a CRM system that sends out automated things throughout the milestones, I try to have personalized videos. That's me, not just like top of mind that has some, goofy animated thing. I try to have them, include some of myself during those, so they actually can have the relationship. And that's where you can get referrals during the process as well. It's asking for those and setting that stage, not just for the end that I want to give you 5-star service so that, your friends, family, neighbors, coworkers, you know that you've got a guy who kept their promise and did what they said they were going to do, and you're going to refer them to me in the future. But do you know anyone now? So it's asking that during the stage. Same thing with real estate agents is the key with that.
Like, it's being authentic, being yourself, also asking for the business. Hello, TJ Barker. How are you? You actually got on a plane and you flew to Colorado. Somehow you
What?
You're alive. Yeah, believe it or not.
Made it
TJ
back.
on a
Made it
plane.
back. So yeah, it was not easy. It was like if you guys remember the A-Team. So when they had to get Mr. T, that's kind of what it's like getting me onto a plane. But made it alive. Woke up the next morning and saw that like all the planes were grounded locally. So I'm done for another year or two, right? So I'm good. I'm good. But hey, man, Steve, I love great seeing you as always. It's funny, like you talked about this back when I started. I was in the subprime days, and I put it here in the chat. I remember speaking to a rep, and we got this crazy situation we got to put through, and it went through so quickly. And I was like, man, how'd you guys do that? And he was like, clean file in, clean file out. Like, your team did such a great job setting this up for us when it came in that it was easy for us to do. And it's always kind of stuck with me from there, and then there are all types of little things that people tend to miss. How do you keep yourself consistent? Do you have a checklist? Do you have, do you have a document? What do you do to make sure that you are replicating that clean file in, clean file out mentality on every single conversation and transaction?
It's actually funny. From when I started, I took a questionnaire. My partner, when we started in the business, started an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper that was kind of the questions that we would ask for a loan application. And then as we kept going, we'd say, oh, we forgot another question. We got to ask something else. And then it was, we keep adding these to this document. Then it became a legal document. And now, I ask all these things during a loan application, and it's always been right behind me. So I can pull up, and here is literally, this is what I had started with, including questions that, that we got from years before. It's, declarations, all having a thing. Retirement age, who's the most significant person in your life that's help you create wealth? Well, that's kind of a leading question, because over 50% of people don't have a financial planner.
So in today's online application click world, people get away from this. Do you still, after a client does an online app, go back and go through this stuff and verify it all and double check it all?
I actually have a checklist like that I go over with people, but I push people towards an online loan app first that I actually added a handful of custom questions. Again, some people out there want everything quick and easy from a loan officer perspective. They want people to go in, put in their social security, address, birthday, and click finished so they can pull credit and take a verbal app. I want everything so that when I get an online app, I want to call the shot right there. So I go into questions like, where is it you're looking to buy? If it's a purchase transaction, what's the target monthly payment that you want to have? And then what's the maximum monthly payment you have? What's the total cash to close that you're willing to bring to the transaction? So I have those numbers, which are key to us from a purchase perspective, that I have people who are doing online applications for purchase transactions that are required questions on my online app. And again, some people think that that's going overboard, but again, because I don't like people deep down, I want to be able to have an online app and be able to have everything there and be able to 9 out of 10 times be able to jump in and say, okay, based on what you said. And what we found is, unfortunately, the internet, Google, Zillow, and online mortgage calculators kill this a lot of times, where I got people who are saying, yeah, I'm looking at, I've been looking at $350,000 homes online for the last 6 months, and I want a payment no more than $950. Because the stupid online mortgage calculator at Zillow assumes 20% down, a lower rate than most of us, all of us can give. It doesn't calculate homeowners insurance correctly. So it's educating them right away on that.
So Stephen, wait, let me get this right. You don't like people. You don't really like sales. You don't like working all day, every day.
Well, deep down, here's the bottom line. I'm lazy. Deep down, I'm lazy. And the reason I work so hard up front is because I want my phone to ring in the future. If I take good care of people now, they're going to come back to me. They're going to send their kids to me when they want to buy a home, neighbors, cabins. That's kind of, I joke about it that I'm lazy, but I'm not really lazy. I work my ass off, but that's why I try to be so meticulous and create the relationships when I do. I'd rather work with a handful of good real estate agents, and have a good relationship with them. Think about a real estate agent's job. That's the most painful job in the world. They're actually sitting in an office where everyone says, rah, rah, we want you to be successful as a real estate agent, but then they will stab you in the back for a listing or a buyer. They want someone to talk to. They want friends. To be able to actually connect with a good real estate agent and have a friendship is huge, because their job sucks.
So you've been kind of intentional the last 7, 8, 9, 10 years since I've known you about how you build your referral base and how you kind of maintain all these relationships. These are tricky. These success stories, we keep saying they're going to be 15 minutes. Next time we know they're 30. But
I stopped saying there are 15 minutes.
Yeah, let's just go to 30.
You're the one who keeps doing that.
I know. So let's say that you and decide, hey, I need to make some more contacts. I need to be intentional. What things are you doing to attract more customers, to attract more referral partners? It's obviously, we've already talked about how you take the existing ones and extract as much as you can from them and close them as smoothly as you can. But what are you doing to add to that? Or, what can some of the newer LOs replicate from what you're doing to find success?
For something right now, it's difficult. It's really the consistency over and over of doing the same thing over and over again. I've known you for 8 years now. But that was around the time 2011 or so was when I kind of moved my business mentality of just trying to get business and do loans, purchases, and refis to having a focus on VA and military and veteran mortgage advisor. I'm on the Veteran Lending Council with you. That's something that's been my passion and my mission since 2011. I dove deep into the 26/7. I believe I know more about VA loans than anyone in town here in the Twin Cities area. And I've been doing classes, except for during the summer, because I can't get real estate agents to come to my office or even do virtual stuff in the summertime, the way our market is set up. So 6 to 9 months of the year for several years now, I'll do classes to teach real estate agents about VA loans. And that has made my phone ring. Like, I will get a phone call from someone who said, Bill Smith told me to call you. He's a real estate agent at I don't even know Bill Smith. I'll call Bill and he's like, yeah, Carrie Anderson here at the office said you're the VA guy. And this guy's a veteran. So it's become something like that over the years that my phone rings on a weekly basis randomly because people know that I'm the VA guy in the Twin Cities.
Yeah, but I gotta think that
get a VA.
You combine that along with the reputation of having excellent files, and when you issue a pre-approval, they're confident that that's closing. They all work together, right? You built a brand of being the VA specialist. You built this brand or this reputation of having a great file and really doing a spectacular job with the contract to close side of things. That again, I always talk about synergy, right? Or symbiotic, like 1 + 1 = 3 versus 1 + 1 = 2. I got to think that not only is it like, hey, you're having trouble with the VA loan, you got to call Steve. It's, hey, you're having trouble with that VA deal, you got to call Steve. He's an amazing loan officer right there.
Right. Yeah. And it boils down to other stuff too. So then it's whether the VA specialty is a way into a transaction or a relationship with the real estate agent. Then it's like, we've done a handful of deals. It's like, you do conventional and FHA loans. Okay, I got a first-time home buyer. He's not a veteran. Can you, he's kind of hard. Yeah, send him my way. Yeah. So it continues. It morphs into helping and working with relationships with agents for other stuff. But again, the key of there's riches and niches. If your mortgage company has a great DSCR program, jump on that. Something for investors. If they've got a great, DPA program or whatever it is, be good at something. Reno, God bless you if you want to do that. Or one-time close, and just be that person. I mean, you look at John David Evans, a friend of ours. That's all he does, and he kills it. And he's the best in the country.
Yeah. Hey, look, I said before, there's a guy around here that and he's been doing it for years. Specializes in renovation. Every single agent, not every single agent, that's an exaggeration, but a lot of agents I've spoken to are like, yeah, we'll absolutely give you a shot, except for renovation loans, because they go to him because I know they get done. And I'm like, no, we got a team and we're great. And they're like, it's okay. I know that they get done. They're a pain in the ass. They get done. So let me ask you this, because we are pushing that 20-minute mark. What advice do you have for MLO Net? Like, going back to the clean application, getting this stuff up front. Like, what are the 2 or 3 things that you consistently see your competition miss that you really dive into and make sure it's on your initial application there?
I think that the one thing is for me, if you're going to be getting into a deep application, is giving them permission to cut you off, letting someone know listen, I'm going to ask a lot of questions. I want to make sure, most of my clients, when they, home buyers, they want to learn a lot, and I want to be able to answer lots of questions each. So sometimes I'm going to talk a lot. I want to give you permission to cut me off and tell me to shut up, and be straight with people. When you say that, you'll be amazed how many times people, 9 out of 10, they're going to say, no, I want to learn all this stuff. Okay. So you're going to hear me talk a lot. Very rarely are they going to say, okay, great, because that's all I want is payment and this. But by being open and, again, creating that relationship and giving them permission up front, that's the one key, I think. And then get, whether it's your company, someone in MLO Net, someone else, it's get a good questionnaire, get a good system of knowing and asking the right questions so that you're taking a really good application. And just, are you self-employed? Okay. The more you do this, the more you know, okay, are you Schedule C? Did you file an LLC? Are you an S Corp? When's the last time you filed your taxes? Can I get your CPA's number? It's getting all of that information, just getting really deep. That's the two things I got for you, TJ.
I'll kind of add to that is to find that thing that you're not good at, right? And then find a way, like I am terrible at income, right? In my world, everyone makes like $500,000 a year, so what I found was I knew that when I was having problems with files, they would always come down to, I calculated income a little too aggressively on this. Well, I went and found a tool that, does the work for me, right? I'm like, I know where I struggle. I found getblueprint.io. Now, when income comes in, I can run every single thing through that. I have that piece that's there. So I know when I put it in the file that is good. So I would say if there's something that you struggle with, recognize it and either learn it or, find a way to support yourself with it as well. Don't just keep saying, well, we'll just get through it, because all that's going to do is cause speed bumps and headaches for you. And then your reputation goes to crap from there.
100%.
I love it.
Good stuff.
Good stuff, guys. All right. Well, you can catch Steve and I in the Veteran Mortgage Advisor program at events, things like that. If you want to ask Steve about his specific checklist, is it okay if people Facebook message you or comment below, Steve? We're good with that, right?
Sure.
Cool. Do a comment below. Don't message him. Do a comment below. Let Fish and I help out. Steve's got a good take perfect applications.
That's true.
There we go. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
You got it.
Hey, man, we appreciate it. So, all right, MLO Net, as always, thank you guys. Foundational piece of the business right here. So important to make sure that you're doing this right. A lot of us got lazy over the last 2 years. And this is one of the things right there. So we thank you. Fish, we'll get announcement out for next week, or guests out next week. And we'll be back and running on a normal schedule moving forward.